Hello, everybody. Good morning from where I am in sunny California. You'll have to excuse the timbre of my voice and the lighting. It's a little spooky, and I can see my shadows on the ceiling now. And the stripes. I think the stripes might make some of you go a little cross-eyed and might not be good for migraines. So put away if you need to and just listen to my voice. Anyway, good morning. Hi, everyone. Margaret Pinard here. Thank you for being on my channel. You are on Booktube. I'm traveling, as I've been saying, and so we're here at my regularly scheduled Friday time, 10 a.m. Pacific. But I had a few ideas on my calendar for what this could be. And I looked around and I was like, well, I can't really do that yet because I'm waiting for this to happen. And I don't really want to do that because I just did one. And I'm trying to keep this channel exciting, right? So I looked around and I said, well, Audit. Because I'm traveling and I brought books with me and I made choices. And here on the internet, we're all about other people judging our choices. So here we go. Let's audit my book choices. That's what I thought would be fun. So basically, I'm here out of my regular scheduled Portland location for about 5 weeks for tax season. It's tax season. This is why I thought about auditing. Sorry if I'm re-traumatizing anyone out there. Oh gosh, I'm so tired. Sorry, my face looks all wanky, skanky, wonky. That's what I was looking for. And so tax season, book audit, why not? As we go, I'm just going to go through the books that I brought with me. And at the end, we're going to say whether we thought it's a balanced thing. So a balanced choice selection. And so this is why I have my question of the day, which is scrolling all the way back up here. How do you decide which books to take with you on a trip? Now, it could be a short trip, it could be a long trip. You can name whatever it is in your answer. But I thought this would be a fun topic. And we had some fun people in the chat. We had Eva very early. She's part of this whole process of decision making. So she's a moral stalwart friend here. Thank you. Eva's eating a taco. All right. And then Catpaw was the next one in. And they just had a burrito, I know. And we're talking about travel and tacos. And then we had a Julie, and she was confused. So with the non-YouTube direct option, StreamYard, which I use, you have the choice to say, this is a live stream that's in the future, and you can put in your own thumbnail. Or you just say, start a live stream, and you get into this little studio here. Well, I wanted to put the live stream up to give it a placeholder so people would know, yes, I'm going live today, even though there's no thumbnail. But I didn't make a thumbnail because I didn't know what I was going to be doing. So I just put the live stream up as a placeholder, and then I was here in the studio making the banners, writing my outline and all that stuff. And then we started having pre-gamers, and so this is where the conversation has gone, which is lovely. Yes, so pre-game show, and welcome everyone who is here. We were talking about long distance drives. I really liked this. Eva says, we had our church group knock on our door today. It's Good Friday for those who celebrate. And it is only now, an hour later, that I realized I should have flipped the script and asked them to participate in this volunteer group. Hearty validation of your sentiments. That's great. I love it. Talking more about long distance and commuting, which is fiendish. We're talking about audiobooks during those. Julie said, I listened to the Demon Copperhead audiobook on a road trip, and boy, was that ever fun. The book will forever be associated with that trip. I love that. I like that. I have audiobooks that I've listened to on walks, and periodically I'll go by some spot and be reminded, oh, this is where I was looking out when I heard that thing about the Vancouver skyline or whatever. And it's pretty cool. And Catpaw has a question for people too. What are people reading right now? Eva hasn't been reading. Catpaw has Death of the Author by Nnedi Okorafor, a new to them author, and an ARC of Kate Kavanaugh's Thanks for Watching. Interesting. So I don't subscribe to Kate Kavanaugh currently, so I hadn't heard of her title, but that's pretty cool. Nice. And my secondary question was about sprouts in the sink, and that was just for the pre-gamers, so that was pretty fun. I cleaned it out for anyone wondering. Catpaw had the same situation with sprouts in the sink. It was a flaxseed. They moved it to an empty winter pot outside, which is cool because they could have gotten linen from flax, but it died the next time it rained. Well, such is life, my friend. And we had some bird chat, which I love as well. Hawk visited Eva's yard today on Wednesday, and very fun and positive omen, perhaps, or maybe a falcon. And when I read that, I thought it said felon, so that's where my brain is. Yeah. So we're talking about seeds and sprouts and birds. Do 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 do. And then we talked about grackles, which is fun, and the birds that Catpaw can reel off their head like that. That's very exciting. And then we talked about birds and like either they're dicks or they're dumb or we can't figure out their behavior basically. And so having a little discussion. And then I talked about Josh Johnson's latest comedy recording special about the Afro Man trial. Pigeons, AI, Chapel Roan. We covered a lot of ground. Yeah, you would probably know Josh Johnson by face then, not by name. Hello, Jim. Okay, so Jim, if you've been patient and waited around for a few minutes, I have a shout out for you. So I'm going a little out of order from my outline, but because I saw your name, look what I found that I thought I'd share. I don't know what it is. It's some kind of micro car. Can you tell me? It kind of looks like a Porsche to me with that outline. All I can read at the bottom is Hot Wheels, Malaysia. Woohoo! So I'm in my brother's old room, and so I was just seeing stuff being laid around. And you know, Jim likes to do the little model car shout outs, and he had a little quiz question in his last video, so I thought that was fun to bring up. All right, so I'm starring some more answers. Yeah, I was confused too. I know. That's just how the software works, and apologies for the confusion. Hello, Constance. Welcome. And more answers. I'm going to keep starring these so I can group them together. Julie says grackles and juncos. I think I get a lot of juncos in my patio in Portland. And I always struggle not to say junko because junko is a Japanese girl's name that I learned first, which looks like this word. So, what? No. Seriously? That doesn't look like... Oh, no, you're right. Okay, I can see the back wheel well, sort of like a stingray. Ugh, good catch. I was looking at the back and I was like, what? Okay, good catch. I hope my dad isn't watching this. He'd be very disappointed. My dad is a Corvette lover. He has a Corvette. Awesome. Okay, so let's rewind. Welcome, introduction, purpose. So I talked about what we're going to do here with the book audit. Went through the question of the day. Oh, I wanted you to appreciate the book, the tree view. These make books, right? So we're going to appreciate. Can you see it? Why did I have this some way where you could see it? There we go. There's the tree. There's the street outside. That is a liquid amber, so it's like a maple. But the other one out. Okay, I'm gonna have to take you off the power for a second. Oh, and I lost the power cord. The other one out there is a tree that Mike of Riff Raff Reads would be more familiar with. It's a jacaranda, which has really pretty purple flowers. So these are my childhood home trees. So I just thought that'd be fun to celebrate. I'm just putting the power back in to make sure we don't drop out here. So yeah, California, we have a wealth of choices because our climate can do a lot of different trees. So appreciate the tree view. Apologies for the lighting. Shout outs to Jim with the car, and shout out to any hosts of the March on the Rails read, because as I was compiling my tower here, I've got an organizer with empty drawers, which wasn't very stable, a Botanica book from Barnes & Noble, an encyclopedia of plants and flowers, a best of birds and blooms, and then a mailing box for woodwork something or other. So I've got a tower here to put the laptop on to be able to talk with you somewhat comfortably. While I was digging away in the big coffee table bookcase, I found this. Railroads Across North America, an Illustrated History by Claude Wyatrowski. Anyway, it's quite dusty. I don't think people have read it in this house, but pretty cool. The Boston and Maine, the Robber Baron Boom, Chicago and Northwestern. Oh boy. There's printed out pages for vacations by rail. So someone probably got this when they were looking for a big train ride to go on. Anyway, so that should be fun. I have to say, the railways are a technological marvel, but they basically laid down the financial conditions for our present ruin. Fight me on that. Yeah, so March on the Rails shout out, and now we're gonna pass to the books. And as always, if you have a question, feel free to pop it in. I will keep track and try to revisit the chat every so often. And if you're new here, feel free to subscribe. And we'll be talking about more crazy things like this in the future, just so you know. No, Julie says, I know your dad didn't park his Corvette under the jacaranda. Yeah, the jacaranda, okay, so it has the little purple flowers. It also has, which fascinated me as a kid, these seeds that are kind of like this big. They've got two sides, kind of like a clam, and they look like little claquettes, like for flamenco dancers. And yeah, so for the longest time, I thought that's what they were called. But no, he keeps the Corvette in the garage that he built across the street. So yeah. Jim says, I rode one train on my sole trip to the U.S. from Bryan, Ohio to Chicago Central. And that is a good taste of America. I think a train ride was a good decision to be able to take in a lot, because it's a big country, and like the countryside view ethos is part of it. So yeah, I think that was a good decision. Okay, so book audit. Book number 1. This is a book that I was in process of reading, and I finished en route. So this will be in a wrap-up, Wednesday wrap-up soon enough. This is a modern classic called A City of Bells by Elizabeth Goudge. She was a writer in the mid-20th century. This is from 1936. Like I said in my last wrap up when I talked about current reads, she's a very emotional, earnest, seeing the good in people, seeing the sort of like shining light in people's eyes. Her books are very refreshing to read for some of us who are in the postmodern ennui of cynicism, as we sometimes slip into. So if you are really tired and need something uplifting and like to take you away. Ooh, I just felt like I was falling. Okay, I need to get some water. I would advise Elizabeth Goudge as a read. Hopefully you can find some of her books. I really enjoyed this one, and I'll tell you more about the story in the Wednesday wrap-up. So we're getting a little of every kind of content here today, because these will all be in future different videos. Oh, that was the first book. Let me go to the answers so that I don't get too far behind of what people were saying. Catpaw's answer about choosing books to go travel with. Nowadays, I don't choose because they have a bunch of ebooks, and those are all in one. Very smart. But in the past, I'd take books that were good talking points, page turners, books I could swap with other travelers. And then they said in the follow-up comment, covers that would provoke questions. And this is a whole different viewpoint. from mine. Like I never thought about that, but that's a great idea of consideration because I was normally not taking public transit, so I wouldn't be around other people. Yeah, I guess on an airplane, I don't want to talk to people. I want to sleep. So, but I like that. That's a communitarian kind of facing response, which I like. Oh, I did start. Okay, so they said talking points with interesting covers to take to cafes. Oh, travel to cafes or parks if I felt social. Right. Good prerequisite. Page turners when you want the time to pass quickly. Airports, flights, waiting, and books I didn't mind parting with. Yes, because once you read them, you can pass them on. That I have made a consideration because when I travel to the UK especially, I tend to come back with more books. So if I can leave some that I've read and don't need to retain, that is like bonus book karma points for me and extra room in my luggage. Let's see. Eva said, I take my current read, but I can't think of a time I've read while traveling. Don't disown me. Yeah, so I took my current read and finished that. And I'm going to do audiobooks at the end, but I had a current audiobook read that I finished, which I'll discuss as well. Jim's answer, on a trip, I'd take a guidebook. Oh, okay, very practical. A fiction read, and the rest of my reading would be from my phone. Oof, ebooks or audiobooks. All right. Practical. Again, Jim. Well done. I think Jim might come out of this with the most balanced book inventory. We'll see. And to answer Catpaw's question, currently reading Lyrebird by Cecilia Ahern for the Irish Readathon. You found Cecilia Ahern. You have more luck than I did. Nice. And Julie says, I do bring my Kindle, so another ebook reader, and I'll choose a few small paperbacks that have been on my shelves for a long time. No hardcovers, no library books. Ooh, yeah, I broke that rule. Oh, I have a library book on my list, so we'll get to that in a couple books. But yeah, hardcovers would be too heavy. Library books, like, then you definitely need to bring them back. So yeah, that's a good strategy. A few small paperbacks. The thing is, if I end up not reading them and they've already been on the shelf for a while, I'll get pretty annoyed because I'll think, I probably knew I wasn't going to want to read that because I haven't wanted to read it. And then instead of going, oh, well, then I can definitely let it go, I'll just be like, oh, now I have to bring it back. Yeah, it's a mental battle. What can I say? Eva says, I have traveled by train just once from Springfield, Illinois to Chicago. Well, that's a pretty close trip to what Jim took. Bryan, Ohio to Chicago. Interesting. I don't know how far Bryan is from Springfield. I do not know. Oh, no, Springfield, Illinois. Okay, sorry. I need to look more closely. Hi, Greg. Greg's here. I have mixed feelings about railroads. I'm guessing my thoughts and Margaret's would be pretty similar, give or take a quibble. Yeah, so one of the hosts of the Readathon has mixed feelings. Have you told your co-host about this? I don't know. I haven't heard much discussion about like the implications for economic and social deterioration by the railroads. But that would be an interesting topic to discuss in anyone's wrap-ups. Okay, so we did our first book and pass on to the second. The second is the in-process book that is not yet finished. So that is this one. I also broke Julie's hardcover rule, but it's the only one. It's the only hardcover that I took because I was already reading it, and I thought it'd be interesting enough to keep going. The Life and Adventures of William Cobbett by Richard Ingrams. And I don't know Richard Ingrams at all, but I do know William Cobbett. He's a sort of bridging from Georgian Regency period to early Victorian, and a very interesting conservative, radical political figure, kind of like a Thomas Paine or Benjamin Franklin for England. And so I'm just starting off here. I'm at page 47 of 300 something. So, you know, well stuck in, as some would say. And there's not a lot of illustrations. There's a few photo panels. I haven't gotten to one yet, but I like the style of writing, so I'm interested in this bit of history and doing pretty well. So in process finished, in process Still going. And my third book, which makes me break another of Julie's rules, was the library hold that I had to pick up before leaving town. Now, here's the thing. I know that library holds are about 3 weeks, and I'm out for 5 weeks, but they had a bunch of copies of this, so I figured I wouldn't be holding everyone up if I took it, and I don't have anything else like this in my selection of books, and so I thought I'm really gonna need a good rom-com. This is How to Write a Love Story, Don't Disown Me, as Eva says, by Catherine Walsh, and it is a 2026 publication, so brand spanking new. She now lives in Dublin and writes full-time. So I definitely got this from an Irish Readathon recommendation, and I can't remember who, because I didn't write it in my story graph because I was distracted, obviously. I'm thinking it's Aoife from Pretty Purple Polka Dots, which is now the Emerald Bookshelf, because I think she had one on new releases, but I'm not sure. But it looks like a very likely Margaret story, right? It's got writing, it's got a writer, it's a love story, it's got a cute graphic cover. I mean, the colors are actually very like Emma Bennett's new book, The Happy Ever After Bookstore. Also encouraging. I don't know, colors. How do you make your book decisions, really? So I took the library book. I left the cannoli. I took the library book. All right. So let's see. Jim says, in Europe, I spent a month traveling by train way back in 1990. That must have been an adventure. I went all the way to Narvik in northern Norway. Wow. And then all the way down to the Algarve in Portugal, and then took the train to Le Havre. Wow. That's epic. Do you still have pictures from then? Did you take pictures? Because that would be really cool. Jim says, from Le Havre, I took a ferry to Rossleary in Ireland and traveled to Dublin before returning to the UK by ferry. That's so cool. Have you ever done a video on that? Do you have the proofs to substantiate all these claims? Jim says, Aoife has great Irish recommendations. Yes. And just to clarify, there's Aoife, who's Words of Clover, who's the host with Leanne of the Readathon. And there's Aoife, which I was referring to as Pretty Purple Polka Dots. And she just changed her channel to the Emerald Bookshelf. And that's who I think this is from. For some reason, it's sticking in my head. But we'll see. Yeah. All right, so that's 3 books down. What else do we have in my bag of book tricks? Well, of course, I have the buddy read that I'm going to be reading with Alan's Reads because it's a nature memoir-ish thing. So I'm going to count this for Climathon, but it's really like more of a buddy read because I saw Alan had it in his like Christmas haul, and I thought, I have the book. He got it new. I actually got it in a Little Free Library. So it's by David George Haskell, and Alan says he's a bit eccentric, which I think I can get along with. It's the condescension that really irks me when I read these nature books. So we'll see. Stories from Nature's Great Connectors. It's pretty cover. David Haskell has won acclaim for eloquent writing and deep engagement with the natural world. Now he brings his powers of observation to the biological networks that surround all species, including humans. Haskell repeatedly visits a dozen trees, exploring connections with people, microbes, fungi, and other plants and animals. He takes us to trees in cities, forests, and areas on the front lines of environmental change. In each place, he shows how human history, ecology, and well-being are intimately intertwined with the lives of trees. So, I mean, I think I'm gonna like this, and it's not that long, as Ellen was pointing out. So, like April buddy read, yay! I'm excited about this one. Boop. What else? Then I got a couple used. Yeah, these are both used, I think. I think these are Powell's reads. Oh, I do have a single photo of me in northern Norway from that trip. Well, that's cool. That's cool. I mean, that's a bummer. You don't have the other photos because, like, yeah, you move too much. You have to get rid of stuff. But yeah, Catpaw. I love traveling by train. Yeah. I usually love the train too. I actually might have to move it up on the priority list because if you've seen the headlines in America, our airlines are shit these days. And I just bought an airline ticket in September. So fingers crossed, like it's not such a zoo in September. But I just wish our trains were better. As I've said before, we have very few options for trains and they don't go a lot of places. So, yeah, it's very expensive here and it's not a lot for the expense, which is unfortunate. Okay, so the Climathon reads that I took with me, I limited myself to 2. So, this backwards thing. On Time and Water, speaking of Northern Norway. I think this is Icelandic. Yes. Asked by a leading climate scientist why he wasn't writing about the greatest crisis mankind has faced, Andri Snær Magnusson, one of Iceland's most beloved writers and public intellectuals, what a moniker, protested. He wasn't a specialist, he said. It wasn't his field. But anyway, he was egged on enough. And so this public intellectual and beloved writer talks about climate change from an Icelandic point of view. And the book is called On Time and Water. And I just thought the cover was cool. This is one of the ones I found looking at Climathon prompts where other people had put books in. And this has actually got lots of photos and stuff in between. So I'm curious. I don't go for Icelandic things because it feels trendy to me. And people traveling to Iceland and the airways opening up, I think has accelerated climate change. But I don't know. Maybe this will change my mind and my heart. There's one Climathon read I brought that I wanted to prioritize because I've had it for a long time and I haven't started it. And then this other one is much more recent addition to my shelves, Climate Courage by Andreas Karelas. Andreas Karelas is the founder and executive director of Revolve. He lives and works in San Francisco. But again, I think he must be from somewhere else with that name. No? Forward by Catherine Hayhoe, who's a famous environmentalist writer. Let's see. Index, bibliography, final thoughts, acknowledgments. Yeah, it doesn't have a piece about the author in there, just on the back. Well, shoot. Anyway, the title is really what pulled me to this. Climate Courage, How Tackling Climate Change Can Build Community, Transform the Economy, and Bridge the Political Divide in America. That is a tall order. I don't know anything about his nonprofit, Revolve, but I mean, anyone who's doing something is a friend of mine, right? Connect to the emotional brain first. Yeah, so I think I'm going to try to start On Time and Water first because this is the one I want to read first because it looks more accessible. So I think if I start with the other one, I'll get myself through it to get to this one. So those are 2 paperbacks for Climathon. Yay, Climathon. I am helping co-host Climathon with Tasman and doing most of the content for the year. So we'll see how other people participate. Oh, Eva says, I enjoyed it a lot. The train traveling, it just requires so much more than a train here. It requires a ride to and from or a rental car, so it adds up super fast. Yeah, and not even just the train tickets. Yeah, you have to factor in all the other, what's it called? Not subsidiary, I guess, but ancillary. I think that's the word I'm looking for. Ancillary. What a good word. Just like grackle. And don't you love these words? They're so fun. We should use them more. Eva likes the cover too for Time and Water, like the glacier from the top. Hey, Diane. Hello. Really cool to see you in a different setting, listening until my phone goes too low. Yeah. Welcome. And then Julie says, I'm planning an Amtrak trip from LA to Portland this summer. Oh, how fun. I'm excited to go to Powell's and revisit this beautiful city. Wow. So I'm assuming you're going to get like a sleeper room because you're going to be there like 2 days, right? That's a long trip. Woof. Yeah, I've done slow to Sacramento, to Portland, to Seattle in different pieces. So yeah, oof. Bring snacks. That's all I can say. All right, so Climathon, and then we move on to the last category of books, which is, again, don't disown me, new acquisitions. So while I was in Sacramento for like 4 days, I had to go to the bookstore. I had a coupon. I had a gift card. You got to act before those things expire, right? So here are two of the many that I got, and these are the ones that I took with me down here because I thought I might read them in the 4 weeks that I'm here. So one of them is Jack White. So Derek will appreciate this. Jack White is an author we both love. I think we have different series that we love, though. So this is the Arthurian series, which starts out with Eagle, something Eagle. Oh, tell me in the front. No, the Skystone, the Singing Sword, the Eagle's Brood, the Saxon Shore. I think I just read the first 4. And then there's the Fort at River's Bend, the Sorcerer, Uther, and the Lancerer. So this is book 8 of the Camelot Chronicles. And I really love his writing style. It starts off with the Roman legions sort of fighting as they fizzle out, right? As they're on the outs in Britain, and who's taking over and organizing, and how it's sort of like a hybrid model. So I really like the historical possibilities that he brings up with this. And I haven't read anything in the series for a long time. So jumping back in, it was like, interesting. Lance Thrower, if you can guess, is the origin story of Lancelot. So this is like, oh, the adder comes into the picture. But I mean, these are Elaine prices. I got this for $1. I was very excited. So that's a great find. And then this one, because I'm going to Ireland in September, fingers crossed for the airlines, is called Connemara, Listening to the Wind by Tim Robinson. Now, I don't know Tim Robinson, but look at that. It was gotten at a cafe in Ireland because it's an Irish in the back. 12 pounds, 12 euros. Sorry, 12 euros. But yeah, it's in good shape, and it was only $3, so that was a good find. And Connemara is not the target, the goal of where I'm going, but it's just adjacent. So I may be going through it or going around it or going by it. And I know Connemara for its stone, its famous stone. It's not granite. Connemara, marble. It's marble. But it's a very peculiar, like green, veiny marble. And I like it. I visited Ireland a long time ago and had like a little piece of it on a keyring. And I don't know, I just have a soft spot for it. So this is the style, my favorite style of travel writing, which is sort of sitting in a place, talking about the physical characteristics, linking them to the humans, actions that influence things in the environment, the history of the place, the people coming and going, the power dynamics. I just love like sinking into a place like this. It's not a bog, it's marble, but I do sink into it. So I'm excited about this. And if anyone knows who Tim Robinson is and has something to say about him, winner of the Irish Book Award, let me know. I'm just thought that would be a good one to prime here while I'm before I go back to where my sister is, because I'm going on the trip with my sister. So yeah, fun. And Greg says March on the Rails was partly inspired by The Octopus by Frank Norris, which is definitely an anti-corporate, anti-capitalist novel. Excellent point. I don't know if your other co-hosts are as into that side of it, though. Julie says the best part of me going back to Minnesota is going to Half Price Books. Oh, there's a Half Price Books in Sacramento or Orangevale where I was. That's where I went. And they had good clearance books. Diane says that is awesome. Ireland, yay. Oh, Connemara is also famous for Connemara ponies. I thought I was going to say potteries. I was like, pottery? I've never heard of that. There's no clay there. Yeah, the ponies. The ponies are a big attraction. They're small, they're hardy, they're wildish. Yeah. Catpaw is seconding the Connemara ponies. Yeah. I mean, Welsh ponies are also pretty famous. I was watching Catpaw's video they sent me about Ruth Goodman and the special where she's with a couple of other history people explaining the first steam train. And they were talking about how mining went from something where you had railways and a pony pulling them, and they had an actual pony to try to like pull it along, and the pony did not like stepping over the railroad ties. It's a little jumpy, but very strong, very forceful for all those loads of slate. They were mining slate in this place in Wales. It was so good. It was like so many interesting historical bits. So Catpaw, if you want to drop the link in here, I fully endorse that. It was a good Ruth Goodman, etc., and Friends special. Okay, so that's Connemara, and now the last category is audiobooks. So I am a Libro.fm stan. You will not get me listening to any Audible originals. Sorry, if you choose to go with Audible, I'm not going to follow you there. But Libro.fm is your alternative, which is available in many places, not everywhere, but many places to get audiobooks. And I had one audiobook that I finished en route. So let me share that. Okay, so I just saw Luna. No. Who is just listening to this? It might have been Luna. It might have been someone else in the Booktube community. But they were talking about just getting this book as a treat. It's a new release. It is called Agnes Aubert's Mystical Cat Shelter. It's by Heather Fawcett, who you will know. I didn't know. I didn't remember, but careful noting people will note. Heather Fawcett is the one who wrote the Encyclopedia of what was the name of it? Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. There we go. I can barely read it on the cover. Okay. So I enjoyed that one when I borrowed it from Leo. That was great. And I didn't realize this is the same author. And the narrator is Geneviève Cook. And I say that in French because she says her name in French. And this book takes place in Montreal in a fantasy world. So it's like sort of 1915-ish, but then they also talk about modern day things like paper clips. So I'm a little confused as like when this is supposed to be, but it's fine. It's fantasy. So there's this gal who runs a cat shelter, and there's magic in this world, and it's in Montreal, and there's lots of French accents and a few French words happening there, and some delightful characters. Just neat representation. So cozy fantasy for sure, and gentle. I think lots of people would appreciate this. So I listened to this all the way down and finished it halfway, and enjoyed it. So that was really good read. Oh, Catpaw, another glorious fact. They used to fill the middle. So in between the railway, what do they call them? Tracks. They have ties, and in between the ties, they would fill the middle with gravel to make it easier for the ponies. Oh, yeah. I mean, excellent. So if you're a history nerd like Catpaw and I am, then jump on this. You won't regret it. 6 episodes of an hour each and full steam ahead. Oh, maybe there's a series and I only saw 1 episode. Ruth Goodman, Peter Ginn, Alex Langlands, and I didn't know the other 2. So good to know. Okay, so this is the audiobook that I finished. I have, and I'll talk about it more on the wrap up. I have one that I started, but wasn't my vibe, and that would be Forest at the Edge of Time. And Rachel will laugh at me for this because I was like, oh, this is like space science fiction action. There's like explorers, and it started off with amnesia. And I can't say anything about a book starting off with amnesia because I have written one of those. It's my book that involves the railways. It's Memories Hostage, which involves brothers that own a bunch of railways in the north of England. And yeah, the main character wakes up with amnesia, so you can learn along with her what the story is. It's a good device. I stand by it. But the robots, and it just wasn't my vibe. So I soft DNF'd it. I might go back. Who knows? But the one that I jumped into after that instead, nope. Excuse me. Is one that I have listened to all the others. I think I just talked about it. I'm not sure what context, but Sisters in the Wind, Angeline Boulley, Libro.fm. This is the third in the World of Firekeeper's Daughter. She's an Indigenous author. She's writing YA/adult mysteries with a definite Indigenous core, and I really, really like. She's a very pacey, very actiony style, but also going into very specific issues for different books that are serious issues affecting Indigenous communities in the US and in Canada. So I really like that, like the social lens, social critique lens with a mystery. Like, yes, give me more. And I am not yet halfway through this, but I didn't think my mom would appreciate the tension level. I was driving with her in the car, so that's why we switched to a nonfiction that wouldn't get her all riled up, and that was On Muscle by Bonnie Tsui. So I put aside Sisters in the Wind, very into the book, very excited to finish it, and shifted to this one yesterday. So I'm again another 20% through this audiobook. I don't know Bonnie Tsui. She wrote Why We Swim, which I think was pretty popular as a nonfiction memoir mashup. But this one On Muscle caught my eye on Libro.fm. But it's less about the technical aspects of muscle. Excuse me. I'm adjusting to the new environment, which frankly has a lot of mildew and probably fungus issues. So my nose is complaining. Let's see. So just like when I'm reading nature books and there's kind of like a spectrum and there's like two technical and I'm gonna get lost in it versus too condescending and like childish sounding. There's a thing in the middle, which Helen Chersky did really well. The same thing for this. So On Muscle is a mashup of a memoir. She talks a lot about her father and exercise and growing up. And then she also just brings in lots of other topics that coincide with muscles, which is interesting. That's not a framing that I think anyone would have had thought of before. So new and unique, but more of a memoir than I think most people will expect, unless they've read her other book and it's similar. So I'm partly through that one as well, and that's the audiobook front. Yeah. So what do we think? How's the audit going? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 8 books. And 1, 2, we're not going to count the soft DNF. 3, 4. 3. So 11 books in total for 5 weeks. I mean, that seems pretty conservative for me. So what do you think? Was it balanced? Was it accurate? Am I going to like these books? Was it conservative? Did I not bring enough? Did I miss a whole category? What do you think? Pretend you're my book audit accountant. And then I'll go on to upcoming events and links and things. And Jim says, so Project Hail Mary took your amnesia plot device. It's not a cliche, but it's a common plot device, I would say. Gosh, what is this? Is this just part of the circles under my eyes, or is there like a bruise here? I don't know. It's bothering me. Yeah, obviously, what's his name didn't take it from me. It's been used before. Sometimes I roll my eyes at it because it's reaching, but sometimes it's actually fine and it's creative. Jim says, science teacher Ryland Grace wakes up on a spaceship light years from home with no recollection of who he is or how he got there. Here we go. Project Hail Mary's plot. Greg says, I seem to be to the left of my March on the Rails co-host, but that's fairly common for me. Perhaps there are people in this particular live stream who are to the left of me. Yeah, there we go. And I think you've left space to fill in the gaps. Catpaw's on the nose there, because I think being here for 4 weeks, I am definitely going to be getting more books. I'm in my my homeland. Like, California is much okay, there's a diverse range, right? But I would say San Luis Obispo has really great bookstores, maybe as good as Portland. I think I can claim that. I mean, they're a drive away. They're not all downtown because downtown was obliterated by Barnes& and Noble in the 90s. Um, but yeah, I've got one to the south of me, I've got one to the north of me, I've got one to the west of me, and I've got one downtown. So I have to visit each. It's like a gardener. You gotta support the bookstores that you don't want to die, right? It's not how it works. That's how I think of it anyway. I'll try to scale back because we know I filled my shelves and I have enough shelves. So, okay, coming attractions, upcoming. So in San Luis Obispo, Thursday night farmers market is like a big deal. Thursday night, 6 to 9. There's a fairly robust amount of prepared food stalls. So like late night dinner, you've got ribs, which is sort of a tradition because of the rural area of the county. You've got actual farmers market produce. So people who drive up and down from the valley, from the coast, and have like strawberries and beets and walnuts and like all sorts of produce and fun things and flowers. And then you've got like crafts. You got the bread bakers, you've got the fun like amusement park stuff and people performing, like musicians busking. It's a great event, right? So I went down there last night, got some burritos and stuff, and we walked around because I needed to walk off the 7.25-hour drive. And it was lovely. I'm very sore this morning, and as you can see, dealing with something, but it was nice. And so I refrained from going to the used bookstore downtown because I wasn't able to carry it back. But yeah, that's a good Thursday thing. And during my walk around there was a parade. Sometimes you get protesters during the farmers market, not often, but there was sort of a line of folks, maybe a dozen, all in black, walking through, and they had a drum beater, a bodhrán beater, in part of their assembly, and they were all in black, and they all had a sign, and I didn't see all of the signs, but they were all like some aspect of fascism. And then the last one is the No Kings rally. So they were advertising for people to go to the No Kings rally. So it is my pleasure to remind folks that if you are at a place where you can attend or support a No Kings rally tomorrow on March 28th, this will be the third No Kings rally in a year. Hopefully it'll be the biggest because more and more people are seeing the light of dawning fascism, let's say. And yeah, so Saturday, tomorrow, that is what I'll be doing. I haven't looked up where I'm going to go. I think it's down at the courthouse. I haven't made a sign yet, but we'll see how we participate. Sunday is Easter. Upcoming events, Easter this year. I usually don't do anything for Easter, being a lapsed Catholic. Someone's using an edger across the street. You get treated to the view. And while I don't celebrate, the bakeries celebrate, and they usually have what around Easter? Hot cross buns. And on my drive down, I stopped at a fancy bakery, Sweet Life in Eugene. They're great. And they had hot cross buns, and I could not resist. So I got 4, thinking that people would like them in Sacramento. And I ended up eating 3 of them. Half a roll, because they were big. They were like hamburger bun big. So I had half a roll, probably a breakfast every day, and some for dessert. They're really good. They're like medieval feeling because they've got candied peel and they've got, Spice Island spices, and they've got like the yeasty roll. So it really feels like medieval Easter is being celebrated, which I appreciate. Excuse me. Diane says, girl, that looks like a bruise, but we know you must be tired and are suffering with allergies. I know, like I didn't hit myself, but it's like right there. It doesn't hurt. So it's not a bruise, but it's like a weird skin thing. Great. When's my birthday? Catpaw says pilgrimage. Just call it that. Yeah, it is pilgrimage. Exactly. Greg asked about City Lights booksellers, and I have been there once, but it was more down and out in Paris and London than is my actual vibe, and it's got more like beat poets and howl and that sort of thing than is really my vibe. I can't understand that stuff. Easter is this Sunday. Last Sunday was Palm Sunday, so I think it's this Sunday. I think. I don't know. Jim says, Orthodox Easter, always got to be different, is April 12th. Okay, well, I may be off. Oh, okay. Wow, they had hot cross buns early then. This Sunday is Palm Sunday. Next Friday is Good Friday. It's Holy Week next week. All right, so it's not Good Friday today. I take it back. Bad Friday today. Yeah. Well, that's cool. The City of Bells, it's funny. It's set in a fictional Wells, which is a place with a cathedral in England. And there's this one eccentric character who dresses in the liturgical colors of the year, and she basically wears only white, green, purple, and what's the other one? Red, I guess, for Christmas. I can't remember. Anyway, she like head to toe in the color. She's like a weird old lady, which I thought was funny. He's asking the Google. Yeah, when is Easter? I need to shop for groceries before Semana Santa hits, biggest travel holiday in Mexico, and I'm immunocompromised. Yeah, so you've got a week and a couple of days because this Sunday is Palm Sunday, I guess. Bad Friday. Go be bad. Interpret as you will, right? There you go. All right, so it's not Easter, so we can forget that, except for my lovely hot cross buns side story, because that was so good. Monday is important in my world because Monday is the deadline for me to send my manuscript to the editor, and I obviously didn't get a session in yesterday, so the overhaul continues. I need to do that today, work on it today. Whew. But yeah, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I've got 3-ish days. We'll get it there. We'll get it there. I had a breakthrough. I had 2 things that I couldn't figure out for like weeks. I've been working on this for weeks and dancing around how to include these 2 things that I really wanted to include. And finally I did. And it's going to be bumpy. And Chrissy's going to tell me like, well, they need to appear again. But like, I want to get them in there and then smooth it out as we go. So Monday, big deal. Manuscript getting sent out for developmental edit, and hopefully we'll be publishing this before the trip in September, because the trip in September is meant to be a reward for publishing the book. So we're getting there like by hook or by crook, and the skin of our teeth, and any other metaphor you want to use. Toss them in the chat. And then Wednesday we have a full moon in Libra, which is about relationships. April 1st. You know what else comes the first of the month? Patron postcards. So I thought I would just remind people, I have a cool Patreon post that's free, that's like public, that, you can take the edit off. You don't need to edit it. You just need to go to the page. So that is the post for, why do I do postcards? So I just explain a little about why I send postcards as a Patreon benefit, and I love it. There's about a dozen people that I send these to each month, and it's just like a little positive vibe, a little vintage postcard, a little like happy face in your mail, and just fun to do. So I like to do that anyway, so I do it as something where people can support and get those every month. So I usually start off on the 1st, and so yeah, we're almost there. And this is your reminder. If you want to get one next month, you can sign up just for one, and see what it's like. You do have to part with your land address. So, if you have trust issues like I do, that might be a barrier, but otherwise you can join in for $5. You can also do that by becoming a member. And if you don't know how to do that, if you look below this video, there should be a join button. And when you join, I think there's just 2 tiers, and there's a Patreon postcard tier, basically postcard tier, for the membership. So if you want to do that, feel free. That is all. So no kings, manuscript deadline, full moon, patron postcards. So that is my upcoming events. What about you guys? I'm gonna take a drink. I need something. This is the autumn mug because we don't care around here. It is up in the 80s around here, but it's going to get cold and rain again next week, so who knows what's happening. Okay, Greg's got the March on the Rails wrap-up coming in Tuesday on the 31st, very early in the morning for some of you. Excellent. Dropping the link for that. Perfect. Let me make sure I don't have anyone I have to give the wrench to. Do I not have this open? Yes, I do. Diane. Diane should have a wrench. Boom. You have been wrenched. I think that's it. I think that everyone else does. Cool. Oh, boy. Oh, okay. And Greg will also be a guest on Cinephile Sunday this week. Who does Cinephile Sunday? Talking about movies or films, as the more cultured people say. I don't recognize that series title, but that sounds fun. Link dropped. Perfect. Well, all right. I didn't hear anyone pass judgment, which is what this audit was about. So I will do that for myself. I've got a biography, a fiction classic, a modern romance, a travel that is germane to my plans, a historical fiction in a genre that I like by an author that I like, buddy read that is about nature, and 2 more about climate activism. One about philosophical stuff, one about political stuff. I think that's very well balanced for my channel and reading tastes. So if you guys are ever going on a trip, maybe you can do the same thing and say, ooh, what am I going to bring? That's like a nosy thing that I think would be really fun, decision-making process-wise. So yeah, that's just my idea for this one. And yeah, feel free to take it if you would like to do the same kind of topic. Greg says, Cinephile is hosted by James at Quaint and Curious Volumes and Randy the Litter Texan. Oh, okay. All right, so it's going to be a a guy party thing about movies. That sounds fun. All right, well, we're almost at the hour. So thanks for watching, everyone. Take care. Happy reading. Don't forget to diversify that reading list. Maybe your audit will be as perfect as mine. I look forward to seeing it. If you do it, let me know. All right, everyone. Thanks so much and take care.